Welcome to my end of year wrap up of Dokkan Battle, where I have a mishmash of some of the best characters all year arranged here, and I'm going to be placing them in a tier list just to talk about who has been the standout for 2024. This is not a list saying who was the ultimate, the best, the greatest, the GOAT of 2024, but rather who performed for the longest period of time, who had longevity, who had the most immediate impact, who had the greatest impact. I think some of these are pretty obvious, but I'm going to get a little mean towards some of these other characters. So let's start off by just saying GOAT all year. Yeah, that makes sense. We'll say this is GOAT small window. We'll say this can be something like recent great. This will be fine. I guess. This will be disappointing. Or actually, no. We'll say team filler, and this will be sad. We will not need. Oh, actually, the lowest rank you can be. LOL. Fusing Vegito. Where are they? Yeah, there we go. That looks good. That looks much better. I guess we'll start the list off with this, huh? So why am I starting with LOL Fusing Vegito in this position? Why do they get a tier of their own? And it's because when this character's details were revealed, we got all excited. We got really excited. We're like, oh my god, this is it. This is the time they're finally making a good Vegito unit. And they did. I would say that they made a fine Vegito unit, but man, this character was considered them saying sorry for the blue fusions in the last year's worldwide download celebration. And everyone said, how could this character not be better than Buhan? And maybe this is me with a chip on my shoulder, but I have no idea how anyone ever thought that with their fusing condition and their stacking in the year 2024, look at how many characters on this list are stacking characters who are good. Is it really any of them? A lot of the best characters on this list are just good after they attack, or they're good start of turn, or they're good with ki. Very few characters on here want to stack. Some of them want to activate their passive through attacks, which is fine. But stacking? We're not doing that. We're not doing that. So let's arrange the sad tier, and then we'll get into what that looks like. So you might be noticing a pattern in the sad tier, which is that it's filled with a lot of Namek units. I think this celebration in hindsight sucked really fucking bad, especially when you consider it a 2024 celebration. This is the most 2023 celebration we got all year, period. No celebration was worse than this one. It came during a filler month, but a lot of banners happened that were filler. We have to compare him to Topo. Do we think that he was better than Topo's celebration? With how bad the Ginyu Force was in retrospect, with how quickly they fell off, with how much of a luxury unit they were, this team sucks. No cohesion, random ass conditionals. I don't know. I don't know what to say. The other thing is Roshi. Roshi will probably not be getting a unit anytime soon, not another unit. And then the reason this is particularly damning is because while he is fine, in quotation marks, we have a dodge canceling fight that's really tough. Hardest fight in the game. We're starting to see dodge canceling come up. His entire team relies on make or break units. There are a lot of good Kamehameha units, but it is kind of one of those issues where this is a gotcha. There's power creep. Year 10's coming. Look at what Gotenks is. Gotenks looks like he's ready for year 10. And are we saying that Roshi's team, with all of its dodge or die units, is what we want when we need to run a Pepe Girls team, like Pepe Girls character? Those characters are gonna get exploded by normals. We can't do this. Like, this was such a weird way to introduce a Roshi, especially with his iconic animations being packed in. Him being the peachy girl lead is so weird. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of an obvious sad spot. Oh, you know what? You know what I'm missing here, actually? Let me put him there. And maybe I'm going to be controversial when I say this. But I'm actually going to put him here as well. That's probably the most controversial one. You know what? I can't actually put him here and not put them there too. This is a pretty controversial like slab of the tier list here. Listen. Vegeta was a great leader for a good amount of time. Jiren, AGL Jiren is pretty good. We do have to kind of be realistic here. These are some team merchants. They're amazing. They're not amazing. They're kind of the lose conditions of their teams anytime you put them on the team. And that's kind of where I want to... That's kind of the like delineation I want to make. When you put these characters on your team, you're kind of conceding that they will be the reason you die for one reason or another. Jiren is strong, but if you die on the TOP team, it might be because you brought Jiren. It's usually not going to be because of the other character. The other character is too strong. Tech Broly is so explosive, such big numbers. I think that the best Tech Broly team, or the best Broly teams, don't need him at all. I don't think he contributes as much as just winning the run. I think he contributes to losing the run, whereas that team could basically never lose a run in its current state. If you brought all of the best Broly units and all of the best uncontrollable power units and all of the best movie bosses units, I think that team basically can't lose. Like, you'd have to get really specific RNG. Tech Broly is impressive. He blows the doors off, like, with damage. But if you die, it's probably because of him being in his base form or him just getting caught in his transformed state after not killing. You know what I mean? Like, it's not his fault. You know, he's definitely closer to here. I'd say it would look like this. I think if I were to rate these units, I'll actually order this. So, Sad, this is definitely the best unit here. There in Vegito, I would say it would look something like this. This would be like me going to my box and picking these units. Like, who would I pick? AGL Jiren is definitely at the top. I'm actually gonna order these. Yeah, I don't know. AGL Gohan is probably the worst character on his team almost every single time. Like, if you're building the Majin Buu team, you're taking... No, actually, okay. This is the worst character on that team every single time, is the Vegito. But if you're building the Majin Buu team, like, it's a good unit, great unit, or great unit, great unit, great unit, great unit, great unit, amazing, amazing, amazing unit, great, like, amazing, amazing, amazing unit. You're only bringing this guy for links, and at that point, like, he's just the reason you can die in runs. Vegeta was great for a good amount of time, but I think even in his heyday, he's just kind of a fun unit. The Gammas are the least necessary character in the entire 10th anniversary or 9th anniversary by far. And it was obvious the moment the banners came out, I think. Like, such a luxury unit. Very unfortunate because they're so cool, but I think where they failed to make this character must-have is they needed to support the artificial life forms. They needed to make an artificial life forms team possible, where instead they're just like the 12th best superhero unit. Like, I'm building superheroes, him, you know, any of the TOP units. Well, not them because he's Golden Frieza, I think, so he can't count. But this, oh my god. I'm sorry, I forgot this guy was here. This is a sad unit. This unit was some ass, like, pretty immediately. But actually, he's probably, like, right here. Oh my god. But yeah, it's like TOP unit. The three of the best characters in the entire game. TOP, or one of the best characters in the entire game. Still just better than bringing the Gammas. Like, I don't know, too conditional. Probably the reason you lose the run most times, because it's not going to be these guys. Jiren's just too weak. Um, he doesn't really blow the doors off. He sometimes can get caught. This guy, you need to literally build the team around them. I guess you could say they were like the goat in a small window, but it's like, no, I mean, this guy was good enough to be fine, I guess, for a short time, but he fell off a cliff. People just stopped talking about this unit. Yeah, I feel pretty good about that. This is ordered now. So now we very funnily get into these 3 units, which, yeah, I think it would be. I think it would be. I think this is ordered for me properly. I really like this unit, but you could argue that like these 2 characters are basically the same fucking unit. This character just being like a super unit, and this character being an extreme unit are probably the big differences. But yeah, it's very funny because I just made the whole stink about like Jiren and the droids here. I think the thing about them that's so crazy is they're all team merchants, but in this case, these EZAs completely blow the door off the TOP units. Again, I mean, they're so similar. This probably being the worst by like, if I could put him like further down, I would. But yeah, this is just such like good, strong team filler that is reliable. Whereas I just feel less great about the units here. You know, it's essentially team filler, but better. And I don't really have much to say about them. You know what, I'm missing Janemba. There we go. And how would I order this? I guess, I mean, here, first of all. Here, second of all. You know, maybe controversial. You know what? Actually, it would probably be them like this. Yeah, because he's recent. Again, recent. Not that they're not great, just recent. It'd probably be something like this. Yes, something like that. Something like that. Something like this. I'm not deciding here. I haven't played with beers enough to know, but this dude has seemed very strong. You know what? I'm gonna say there. I'm gonna say he's the worst. Yeah, recent great. I mean, it's unfortunate that I have to put Gotenks here. It's unfortunate that I have to put Gogeta here. It's unfortunate that I have to put Janemba here. Because if I was speaking in a vacuum, I would probably say that they're some of the strongest characters all year. If this was just a top 10 list of the best LRs in the game, they'd be above some of these characters down here, right? Obviously, they'd be around Vegito or Goku and Vegeta and the like. That said, wow. You know, like, this is power going into the 10th. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if every single unit here is good come the 10th anniversary. I wouldn't be surprised. I would be surprised if these units down here are good come 10th anniversary, but I would not be surprised at all if any of these are good 10th anniversary. These characters feel ready for the 10th. Janemba especially. I wasn't around for when this guy was underrated, but he's definitely underrated now. Yeah, there's no doubt. Okay, let's go to the next section. So this might be another contentious point, and obviously you can see who I'm going to be putting in the GOAT category for all year. And we'll do some reorganizing at the end, but yeah, I think so. Here's the thing. Let's first of all, let's order these. I think it's something like this, actually, in terms of like how I feel about the characters as their most dominant. It is kind of weird to put the trio here. It is pretty recent, obviously. You know, some of these characters falling under the same celebration, quote unquote, essentially. But frame 1, the trio comes out. They make a bunch of 2020 un-EZA'd characters viable. They make a bunch of shitty EZAs viable. They make the game fun. This is the funnest unit of this celebration. The only thing I'd say, though, is that in terms of them being the carry of the team, the shining star of the team, we sort of see that fall out of favor pretty fast, right? It goes from them being double leader, both in slot 1, the rotation can't die, we bring the AGL, cooler movie, Super Saiyans, they can't die, it's just amazing, it feels good, it's fun, to being, they're kind of floating in slot 2, they're fun, they're providing support to both rotations, maybe they float off, maybe they go into standby, but not really. They kind of get aged out by standby too fast. I think the things that made them goated went away faster than a lot of people maybe agree with. Cellmax was just the villain of the year for a very long time. I can't not put him. I could argue put him up here, but I would say he was just the villain of the year for a long time. I feel the same way about Super Boo. Again, it's contentious. It's fine. I think Gogeta was the character I expected to be the most useful for your account if you were free to play starting on the 9th anniversary. I think Vegeta's conditions, like he's sort of time gated by rotations. He's amazing. He reminds me a lot of the God Goku from Saiyan Day last year, where because he's usable, he can just float around the team for a long, long time. And I don't think his role has gotten worse. I just think he's aged by flat out numbers. You know, why bring Gogeta when now fights cancel dodge? Why bring Gogeta when now we have damage thresholds and he's like got the worst typing? Why bring Gogeta when this and that and this and that, right? It's not that he's bad, it's just that his window for being like, oh my god, I'm bringing Gogeta every single time, closed, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Same with the TURs here. I think they have the issue of TURs being great at their peak, but not being, you know, decisive enough. You know, if this Super Saiyan 3 Goku and this Int Buu were LRs, they'd just be up here. You know what I mean? But I mean, what can you say? How can you not put the best TURs for basically the entire year up here? You know, the best non-EZA TURs for basically the entire year up here. I mean, you have to. And Broly kind of just was aged by domains and teams, and man, domains are a bad system. Even now, even with one of the best characters of the year being a domain character, it's just, I hope they reconfigure this. People thought that we were getting a domain update that makes them all usable, but I mean, that's not happening. So yeah, I think Broly's just a sad story of domains, but inarguably necessary all year until he wasn't. And then he became one of the best characters in the game for the hardest fight in the game, again, somehow. So yeah, Broly gets a special place up here. The time in which he was like the best was short-lived, but he's been persistent the entire year. He's shown up no matter what. And this is where we can get into the real shit. So you might have saw the start of the year start like this, and I would agree. I would agree with you if you were like, wow, this seems like deja vu. Again, this is so close. I would actually say AGL Goku in front of Vegeta. I love the dodge here. I know some of the dodging talk has gone like but I found myself really disenchanted by Vegeta's revive condition, and this guy has felt so reliable. So sort of ease what it is. That said, we can get into Beast Gohan, and I hate to say it. I hate to be the one to say it because I am not a Beast Gohan fan, but this character literally never stopped showing up. He's been good the entire time. His super attack conditional with a Piccolo is unnecessary, completely doesn't need it. One of the best actives in the game. Dominant in the same way for basically the entire year. I don't think he's really... I think the reason people have stopped using Beast Gohan is because we're tired of seeing it. If you were putting together great teams, you could always find a reason to bring him over someone else. He still does amazing damage. He's still reliable. This isn't to say that he's the best character in the game currently, or the best character that was released this year, or the strongest character that was released this year, but the moment he dropped, the game ended. The moment he dropped, you needed 2 of him on every rotation. And I say this as someone who did not pull for him. I didn't pull for him. I didn't get him because I didn't like that character. But to deny that he's just been the best character this year, come on. AJL Goku and Evo Vegeta earned their spot at this high up because how do you construct teams in 2024 without them? They're on every team. They have no conditionals. They tank everything or they dodge everything. They revive. You can put them on both rotations. You can play around their revive conditions because they're so consistent. They do 1 billion damage. They do 1 billion damage to the hardest fight in the game. They do 1 billion damage to the second hardest fight in the game. I mean, if this year 7 ZZA and they're anything like this, because I still don't understand how they get rid of UI Goku going into the 10th year. You know what I mean? Like, this might be the best aging character ever going to the 10th year. So we'll see. This might be the new Orange Piccolo. We'll see. Tech Broly and Int Broly, why are they here? The reason they're here is because their teams are so tight. I think you could obviously argue that Gohan is a better character than both of those characters. But when you're talking team building, which Dokkan is, I mean, how do you compare to, like, these two teams were 2 of the best in the game. They might be the best in the, you know what I mean? Before this recent batch of characters, they might literally be the best teams in the game. You know what I mean? So I really appreciate that. Tech Broly's going higher because he's just consistent. You would love to have a character like Tech Broly on every single team. He goes in slot 1. He holds it down. He's basically new Beast Gohan in terms of, like, what he does for the team, which is just hold down slot 1 with no flocking. And I love that. The reason Tech Goku is here rather is because the thing we sort of saw as time went on is that he had one of the best teams in the game, but you could beat every event in the game with him. You know what I mean? His team. But the reliance on dodge or getting blown the fuck up has become a little sketchy. One of his great benefits is that he has a domain for the good guys, which the super units don't have access to a lot of the time. But yeah, it's just mostly that, like, this is the wall of consistency. But try to imagine Tech Goku when he doesn't have these two. You know what I mean? Like, it's not him that's bringing this together in totality. It's the combination of how good the super team has been and the TOP team specifically has been. So whereas I see these two as just, like, you need them. They're necessary. So yeah, I think dodge or get blown the fuck up is, like, the worst mechanic in Dokkan currently. Which is funny because dodge is still the best mechanic in Dokkan. But it's kind of like one of those things where it gets better as they age. Whereas, like, Tech Broly's just going to be good until Tech Broly's no longer good. You know what I mean? And then we can have, like, this conversation. Strength Gokan's here because he doesn't lead a team. He is extremely dominant. He was the best unit in the game for a small run. Which is hilarious because they somehow aged him, right? With damage. I think he just gets blown up sometimes. He does limit teams because of rotations with extreme units. He's amazing. I'm putting him here off the strength of how good he was, because he should be down here somewhere, like right here. But I'm actually gonna put him here because the moment he dropped, you could put him on every team. He's on every team. He doesn't really have that many conditionals. Strongest active in the game, probably. Yeah, I don't know. I think he earns this, funnily enough. Yeah, I think so. So the final thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of look at this list and be like, where is there anything I want to change? Let's do some ordering. I'm gonna I'm gonna make the executive decision because it's my list. I'm gonna put Jiren here because he is technically better than these characters, and he has been good for a very long time. Do I want to bring any of these characters up? I don't want to. I kind of want to bring him up. Yeah, I mean he's so good. I mean he's so dominant. He's such a big part of like this team. He's Lynx. He has to come up here. I'm going to make the executive decision to move Gogeta and Gotenks up. It's a short window, but here's my thinking. How are they aging them out? They're going to be at the end here because they're so recent. But how are they going to age these guys out in the 10th anniversary? We're getting fusions for 10th. So they're just going to be better. You know what I mean? So I'm going to put here as like an addendum. If we do that, I want to put Janemba here. This is selfish, but I want to put Janemba here. Janemba has been so solid, man. Janemba has like the... If you were making an LRT list, you could argue this character wherever the fuck you want. Janemba is criminally underrated. And... yeah, I think that's where I'm at. Are there any units here I want to bring up? Not really. No one I'm super impressed by. Terrible, terrible. You know what? Topo, come here. Topo gets to go in goated. Or gets to go into... probably fine, I guess. He'll go at the end here. I have a soft spot for Topo. He did his fucking job, and people like criminally underrated this character. He deserves to be in this list with these characters. You know, that's a something I did. You know what I mean? That's a you can hold that shit. But thanks for watching the list. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are you ready for us getting Daima for New Year's probably? Like if you like the video, subscribe to join the club, and we all gonna make it, man. Peace.